You're the master of your life, you're the master of your experiences, you're the creator. And what I'd like for you to answer is, how do you feel when you're in love? How do you feel when you're in love? So I'd love for you to just shout it out. How do you feel when you're in love?
alive.
Happy.
Happy, more alive,
Energetic.
energetic,
Joyful.
Euphoric.
joyful,
Peaceful.
euphoric, peaceful. What else?
Serene.
Serene,
Sexy.
sexy,
Childlike.
childlike,
Excited.
excited. Okay, take a nice deep breath as you open your eyes. Let me ask you a question. Why do we ever take ourselves out of love? Why aren't we in love 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Anyone know?
Fear.
Fear. Fear. Fear. It really is incredible. Okay, so let me talk about fear for a second. Good old fear. Yeah? I've written a book called Fantasies Can Set You Free. And what I've found fear to be is nothing but a negative fantasy, a negative thought. That's all it is. When you really stop to think about it, our lives are run by a negative thought. So why do we take ourselves out of love? You know, it's energy. And what I want to talk about is that little children who are 3 years old or 1,000 days old, and if you ever watch little children, they get up in the morning and they go, 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 and they've got all this energy, and then they fall asleep. And then they wake up and they've got all this energy and they fall asleep. I've never heard a little baby ever wake up in the morning and go, oh shit. Never, never. You know, or I gotta have my coffee first, or I gotta have a cigarette first, or whatever happened to that little child inside of us? Where did that little boy, that little girl go? That sweet little thing that had all of that energy. And when we talked about what is love, you know, how do you feel when you're in love? It was words of energy. It was all synonymous to energy. I feel energized, I feel wonderful, I feel sexy, I feel alive, I feel serene. That's energy. And when you're afraid, what happens is that we clam up, we constrict. When you're open, the energy is flowing. When you're afraid, the energy constricts. So our lives constrict. We're afraid to be open because, and you fill in the empty blanks. So, how you might get hurt. And the horrible part about it is that we get hurt much worse when we live with our hearts in a lead-lined safe. It really is. It's just, it dies. We die in there. So that's kind of an opener. Just because our talk tonight is about love is the only answer, what in heaven's name is the question? What's the question? When you live in love, and I make a decision 24 hours a day to stay in love. That doesn't mean I have to like anything that happens, but you know, you make a decision to stay in love. There's either love or there's violence. There's either love or there's a cry for love. And what happens is that most violence is a cry for love. And we're crying for love all the time. Look at the inner cities. Look at the violence that's going on in our culture. And if you want to see exactly what's going on, they're crying for love. A lack of dignity, a lack of respect, a lack of understanding, a lack of trust, a lack of compassion, tenderness, kindness. All of those things that make a human being are the things that are missing from most of people's lives. So it's really just so very important to feel that. And what I found out is that the way to express love is honesty, to be honest. And most of us aren't honest because we're afraid of being hurt, so what do? We lie. And there are many ways of lying. One of the basic ways of lying is not saying something, not disclosing who we are, not saying who we are for fear that we're going to get hurt. People are going to laugh at us, they won't understand, whatever. I used to teach speech at Loyola University in Chicago, and I'd ask, would you please stand up and talk 3 minutes about your life? And some people would faint. I mean, they literally just collapse, you know, because it was the most scary thing in the world. When you've lived your life, you know, there are only 30 students in the room, for God's sakes. What's the worst thing that could happen to you? Well, the worst thing is that they would be rejected. Isn't that what our number one fear basically is? That we'd be rejected. And what's so crazy is no one can reject you except you. I can't reject you, Ron. It's not possible. All I can say is no. What you do with that no is entirely up to you. You could take it as a gift. Like, for instance, if we wanted to get together, if you wanted to get together with me and I said, Ron, no. Now, you could curl up in a ball and say something about me he doesn't like, or he doesn't like me, or whatever. But what if, by my saying no, it provides you the opportunity of meeting him or her or whatever? There's a story that one of our facilitators, Ann Watts, who's Alan Watts' daughter, this man had come up to her during a workshop, and he wanted to do a process with her. And she said, no, I'm sorry, I just can't do that. And he was chagrined. He was absolutely devastated because he'd, took everything in his power to gird up his nerves to ask Ann Watts to do this exercise. And when she said no, it was horribly devastating to him. So he then went over to this next woman, and she said yes. They are now married. They have a wonderful life together. They are in, just a wonderful relationship. That's the no that provided the yes. And if she had said yes, who knows what would have happened. But the chances are he probably wouldn't have met and had this opportunity to dive deeper in love with this woman.